Homeland security obviously is a huge issue for you. That has been a needle in this conversation throughout. And I want to talk about ways to secure the border because I've talked to Republicans like yourself. I've also talked to your Democratic colleagues, and both sides of the aisle say there is a crisis at the southern border. Now, I mean, the solution to get there, everyone's at an impasse. Where do you think these conversations can be productive when you return back to D.C.?
Well, the good part for me is my ranking member, Henry Cuellar, lives on the border. And Henry has been rock solid in making the case about there's better ways to do this and how to go approach it. And we need to attack it before it gets to the border. We need to do it at the border, the southern border of Mexico. We need to do it in these other countries and prioritize some money that's being spent there. And we've worked closely with our state and foreign ops about trying to figure out how we can engage these other countries so they can start processing. When you talk to their presidents, look, the people they're losing to America for the most part are a lot of their good citizens, because they're unfortunately being rousted by cartels and gangs, and parents want a better life for their kids, so they send them on to America on a journey that they shouldn't be taking. And you can't be a humanitarian and say that this is what's happening to these kids is right. I mean, you hear about young girls getting raped, you hear about these families basically robbed. They get them to they take so much money to get them to the border, and all of a sudden they get to the border. Well, they need more money, and so it's a shame that these type of things are happening. But we are a nation of laws, and we are a nation of immigrants, and those two don't have to be in conflict. But we need to have a better system in which we can process these people who are claiming asylum in ways we can better process those who want to become citizens into our country in a more orderly fashion and stop those who shouldn't be in our country at all from coming in. So that's why we've been narrowing down, ensure that we know who it is that's getting into our country.
What do you think the Biden administration needs to do today to solve this, what everyone I've talked to has called a crisis?
And you're absolutely right, because that from my years back in 13, 14, 15, when I first started in here, Mario's a close friend. And one time he had all the presidents of those nations down there, and they were saying the same thing that they're saying now under President Obama. We need someone to stand up and say, you're not welcome here. And the last administration certainly did that, and it stemmed the flow. And it's not because they were citizens in their country as well. But the administration has to take instead of flashing the green light, they need to put up the red light and enforce the red light so people understand, and it'll stop the migration. But right now, if people think they have a chance of getting into this country, and they are coming from times that are horrible down there. I mean, I've been to the borders in Venezuela, and you watch people crisscrossing back into Colombia just to buy their daily rations. I can understand and appreciate why people want to come to our country. If they have access to a television, they think we're the land of milk and honey, which we are. But, I can understand why families want to send their children here so they don't have to live through that. They want a better life for the kids. I get that. But, we can't continue the way we're going. And for this administration to say that it's a humanitarian crisis, it's one of their own creation, and they need to stop it. They need to address it quickly.
What do you think their messaging should be then for those migrants who aren't happy in their own country, who are asylum seekers? What should the messaging be to them then?
Send your information to the embassy in which you're located and start the process before you make the trek up. Because once they're at our border and it becomes a problem, we're letting them in. And as you can see now in New York and all throughout Chicago and all throughout the country, it's become a border crisis everywhere. Because now that the administration's latest idea is, well, we'll just hold them in Texas. Well, why is Texas exporting them? Why should those communities in Texas be saddled with all these people that the administration's just letting in without necessary work and really diminishing the citizenship that's been achieved by so many who have done it the right way? I mean, that's where you really see it in senior citizens and others who have come over and done the hard work and waited the 10 years to get in, that people are just walking across the border and being assimilated into our country. And I think the other thing that bothers people is that especially older people, you'll see them, when they came in, they had to have a job, they had to be healthy. There's all these checks and balances there. None of that exists. That's really sad, and it's something that we need to fix. And this administration needs to stand up and take ownership of it and they've laid down, and our vice president's allegedly looking for root causes. It doesn't take much. You know? You make a couple trips down there and talk to the folks, you'll find out what and you goes. But if you turn your blind eye to it, then you continue to see nothing.